looking for the next best thing. Our thoughts manifest things here. Facing to the west, I sing, giving thanks to the earth and the air. Like a Gemini, I remember that.
Peace, peace, peace. So, mentalism versus wishful thinking. Can you attract what you want in this world? Do your thoughts manifest things? Do we have the ability to be anything we want to be in this world? That's what they teach the youth, right? So, mentalism, what you put your mind to, what you think about most of the time manifests, versus wishful thinking. You think you can manifest whatever you want with your mind without doing things and hard work just by thinking? You a fool, right? So we got these two sides of the coin. Again, ain't no Willie lynching going on here. We're not trying to create separation. We're trying to bridge the gaps. So we have all these discussions in hopes of expanding awareness and bridging the gaps. So I'm going to talk about books again, just some of the books I got in my house that point the way to concepts of mentalism and the ideas that might back or historically have backed these notions of positive thinking, much less the idea of true mentalism, the Hermetic principles, perhaps, or even the biblical principles, the religious connotations that, you know, what you ask for, you can receive. So we're going to start with some of the religious doctrines. I will start with the Kybalion. All right, mentalism in the Hermetic principles. I know some of y'all don't even know what the Hermetic principles are, and that's why we bridging the gaps, because I got a lot of different people that I interact with and call my community and network with, and so one thing I love about what I bring to the table is a lot of what different cultures have not had exposure to. I might be the one to expose them to something outside of their normal paradigm. So, starting with the Hermetic principles, as in the Kybalion. So, the principle of mentalism. Let's see if we can start right here. The principle of mentalism. The all is mind. The universe is mental. Right? What you think and focus on the majority of the time manifests, and is your ability to focus, hold concentration, and keep your eye on the prize that determines your outcome for success. If we go to this well-known religious doctrine of the Bible, see the same thing. Yeah, we got Mark 24. Therefore I say unto you, what things soever ye desire, when ye pray, believe that ye receive them, and ye shall have them. Right? So what's that saying? Whatever you want, pray, believe that it is, and it will be. That's a lot of what we hear in a lot of these new age, not even just new age, but resurgence of the Hermetic principles, mentalism, the law of attraction, the Abraham, Esther Hicks, the secret, okay, all these doctrines that are kind of resurging now, which will take me back to where some of those doctrines even got their historical influence from. So, for those that don't know, Napoleon Hill, Think and Grow Rich, I mean, this was pivotal. Napoleon Hill in the 1920s and his work with Carnegie, some of the just pioneer, most influential people in the Industrial Revolution in America. And so Napoleon Hill, Think and Grow Rich, are these same concepts of what you can do mentally that the average person might not be trained to do, that's going to be able to manifest, you know, what some of these people did with the steel industry, the changing of the whole world, as they argue. And so Napoleon Hill, Think and Grow Rich, is a pivotal book that's referenced in The Secret, but by most people of today that are knowledgeable and readers that know who came before this resurgence of the law of attraction and mentalism, especially thinking of mentalism as a hermetic principle, and the resurgence of especially Europeans today, white folk, that are sort of the prime advocates of a lot of this think and you can have it type of movement that's resurgent. So Napoleon Hill, old school. Before Napoleon Hill is actually Charles Hanau, I think you pronounce his name, but the Master Key System. And you know, Napoleon Hill actually wrote a letter to Charles that's in this book about how much his book influenced the development of Think and Grow Rich. So same principles, the Master Key System, if you read through this, is a lot about mentalism. Not just thinking positive, but believing, doing the steps to overcome fake partial focus, fake partial believing, where you really don't have the discipline and the focus, and you think a couple good things, but your habitual pattern and muscle memory of negative thinking and doubting and pessimism and everything that many people in this country and world have been conditioned to think takes over and drives your day to day. So the Master Key System is I think like a 22-part system, 24, I don't know. Yeah, roughly, I don't know, 25-part system on learning to focus, learning to meditate, learning to discipline yourself and your mind, as well as developing a routine and a habit and a pattern and a lifestyle of thought manifestation for whatever it is you choose to manifest. So there's another one, since I'm just showing books that were in my collection on that same topic, but all the focus on wealth manifestation and poverty thinking and class systems and people feeling like they're not the dictator of their own destiny when it comes to true elevation and success and financial poverty. And so a lot of focus, just like Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill, was on money manifestation and the idea that if you can manifest anything with your thought, then surely people would manifest money, and you'd see a lot of rich people, because who wouldn't just keep thinking positive thoughts and manifesting money if it was that easy, right? But you have to look at the people that really shaped these foundations for these philosophies to, well, where you are in the scale of how well you're even doing with that, much less what the masters and those who are actually successful at doing it say compared to your method. So The Science of Getting Rich, Wallace D. Wattles, another book pretty much on the same point. It's a great read. So thought manifestation, Deepak Chopra, quantum healing, when you get into health, you know, what we would manifest if we could manifest anything with our mind, or alternatives just when it gets to something like quantum healing, to even Western medicine and the potential of the mind to heal the body, to heal the quantum mechanics that develop all your atoms and the code that create a ulcer or a tumor or cancer, many of the ailments that our modern day people are fighting today. 1 in 3 with cancer and heart attacks, all the pharmaceutical industries, things that, you know, have to be dealt with in our holistic approach to the betterment of self in our communities. But quantum healing, on that same tip, is the philosophy around mental healing of the body, anything with the body, and how long it takes the body to regenerate cells and atoms and the elements, the building blocks for all things, from the nervous system to your brain to the lining of your stomach to your blood and all that, and its connection to the mind. So I don't know why I pointed to the brain with the mind, but that's that programming, right? We associate the brain with the mind, and when you get into all this and you realize the infinite potential of the mind and how little we really know when it comes to the mind, it's fascinating stuff. So on that note, we're going to get to a little bit more of the esoteric studies when it comes to mentalism, thoughts. It's just a book I recommend. Mind Power, The Secret of Mental Magic, William Walker Atkinson. It's all the same stuff. What our potential is with thinking. Not just thinking, but disciplined thinking. And the infinite spectrum of types of thinking you can do, and a more focused understanding of how it is you think personally in relationship to the next guy and the next woman and this successful person and this struggling person or the addict. It's some of it's nurture versus nature, biology versus, your own potential to overcome, your own inspiration and will to even achieve something to begin with, the potential of each person within the so-called limitations that we may have been born to, incarnate in this body. So whether it's the Eastern, whatnot, meditation, it's crucial to understanding mentalism, focusing, all those that came before us and many that spoke on what took for them to be successful in their craft, in their art, in their passion, whatever it is. And the ideas of meditation, stilling the body, breath work, controlling the breath, controlling the body, controlling the frequency and vibration of your physical as well as your mental and your spiritual. And so, there's millions of books on meditation, on focusing. I could list so many authors, but we all know in today's world, meditation and yoga and these new healthy resurgence, it's just much more commonplace to understand somebody now that may not come from Boulder, Colorado, or the Santa Cruz, or wherever it may be that is on the up and up, that also now knows about meditation and yoga and doing the body right and balancing and centering. So focusing, period, is going to be connected to mentalism, because it is our ability to focus not just on the positive, but on optimism and things that increase our odds for success in anything we're doing. As Alan Watts says, you're going to do a lot better playing the game if you're having fun and feeling relaxed and confident and lighthearted than you are if you're serious and heavy and doubtful and worried and anxious and tight-muscled and tight-brained. And so the focus and the discipline on controlling negativity and positivity and doubtful thoughts versus complimentary thoughts and encouraging thoughts, that comes from practice, intention. So the last idea I'm going to share through this book is the holographic universe, which, from people from the Bible to the scientific people, quantum healing, whether you believe it or not. Deepak Chopra is considered very Western scientific, balanced with his Eastern practice. So it is a lot of Western science too that acknowledges quantum physics and the potential of the observer and our intention on all things that are, including the body. So with that is our understanding that some of us, we just really don't know what is the true nature of this plane that we're on. The Holographic Universe by Michael Talbot is a great book on that concept, that once you get into it, whether it's holographic universe, computer simulation, realities, all those potential fringe philosophies of what really our current situation here is in the Matrix, is still so open for discussion, for what you think in the public schools, as though we know it all, and Darwinism today and science rules everything and is infallible. It's silly. Like the realm of intentional, conscious, really wise discussion, and not just debates but building with each other, is in a sad state of affairs. You look at the internet, and not that the comments represent everything, but wow, I know that isn't actually the majority of how people are, the demographic of those that end up commenting, but we got to bring it back to positive dialogue, peaceful dialogue, nonviolent communication. Come on, supporting our people and building, growing. So, holographic universe, it all comes back to mentalism. Because if it's a holographic universe and we're each creating that hologram, then we are the gods, right? That goes back to the Bible even. Did I not say y'all are gods? So holographic universe, that's what that whole philosophy of mentalism, think it and you can achieve it, comes back to. If you can manifest everything that you want, does that not make you, whether it's a lowercase g from the Bible, right? Ye are little gods. You're not the almighty master, but you are a form, anything that correspondence, anything that the big G can do, the little g can do. So you are a god in your own realm. To bringing it back to reality, how a lot of people live, like, what are you talking about? What in God's name are you smoking, son? You believe you can think money into reality by thought alone? You gotta work in this world, and you gotta work hard and discipline, and even then the man's gonna take half your stash, leave you high and dry, overtax you, leave you overworked and underappreciated, right? Those are the, hey, let's bring it back to reality. Logical thinkers. You can't have anything or we all would. So I don't got time to read the holographic universe, quantum healing, the alchemist. Oh, we didn't get to the alchemist yet. The Bible or any religious doctrine, because that's wishy-washy and not based on science and logic to them. And just doubters and strugglers, people in pain. So there's not a lot I can spend on the wishful thinking, except that I still struggle with it. My faith is still tested because I'm not living in luxury. I haven't manifested so-called financial abundance and even just some of the chaos and drama that's in my life, being in family court. Did I manifest that with my mind? Did I manifest all my rights to my child being taken away? That's a hard thing to take responsibility for when I feel my character, and my morals, and my ethics were all in line. But I'm an open person, so I'm open to the truth wherever it comes from, and I'm a seeker of truth, and my end goal is the elevation of self and love and communion with those around me. So whichever path leads me to that, that's where I'm going to put my time and energy. That's why I have books from all over the place, because they all build my personal vast philosophy that picks from every aspect of the Creator, which I think is all it is. So all my texts build to that in my life. So back to positive thinking. I got to cover two things, because my conflict and confrontation with this has been, okay, so if those that think the best and have control over gratitude and PMA, we got that PMA. Shout out to Bad Brains. That those people are the ones that excel and succeed in life. And in a world where there's so many impoverished brown melanated people, not just brown melanated people, but people of every nation in this world, but especially when you get to a place like America and you look at the First Nations and the Afro-American nations, the Moorish nations, and everybody that is brown and subjugated to so-called white supremacy, white domination, the genocide of the First Nation people and the enslavement of African people with no real reparations or atonement to get back to an even playing field, much less for those that feel obviously that all these same atrocities are still going on today. But is that what we're to believe, that all those nations were bad thinkers? They didn't have a PMA, they didn't have a good discipline and stronghold on mentalism, that they created genocide and poverty and slavery and injustice, you know, and racism and classism and just lack of compassionism, right? That all came from mentalism from these people, or some karmic debt. And then on the adverse flip side, we got the Rockefellers, the Bill Gates, right? The Soros, these mega, and you know, and like those are the richest, like the Queen, the Vatican, and the true like super hierarchs, you know. But those are the people that are like the most pure, the most righteous, the best thinkers. And though the devil's advocate says, you know, it's not just that they're the best thinkers, it's that they've had the most discipline, as well as hiding the knowledge and misleading the people, and so that's why they're at the top. It's not that they're the most righteous, the so-called Illuminati, the so-called 1%ers and the elite, whatever it is, but that they're the most disciplined in the math and the science that it takes to, say, have financial abundance, have control of abundance for land and resources, right? All the things that those of us that are in the conscious movement and the resistance movement and the help the people movement, love revolution movement are saying these selfish people don't care about nobody else on this planet, and they're wicked. Oprah's not a philanthropist. The Queen's not a philanthropist. Bill Gates is not a philanthropist. Come on. I mean, I get that the masses out there, a lot of people, you know, obviously, like, what? Oprah's not a philanthropist? What you talking about? But I digress, you know what I'm saying? That's the Oprah's the prime example. Hey, I'm in America. Look at the abundance and wealth and prosperity and so-called spiritual growth and healing I've accomplished. A black woman in America at her age, from her generation, her demographic, and her upbringing. That's the story, right? The American dream. That's how she built up. That all these, I mean, the music people, all, you know, the Jay-Z's and all these people did it just by hard work, a little luck, you know, but discipline and drive that the average person isn't doing, didn't find their niche, didn't have the right timing, all that, or just didn't have the mentalism, because that's what it's coming back to. So did those that elevate, they truly have the best positive mind, or the Machiavellian, the prince, the philosophy that wickedness actually gets you further in this world, and that's why the Rockefellers are on top, that's why the Walton kids, the Walmarts are on top, because it's, you get more benefits when you don't give a fuck and you're ready to dump shit in a river and cut codes and cut corners and cut costs and cut labor workers that are keeping your ship afloat and cutting their wages and their benefits, and right? All about maximizing the black. How much profit? Profit over people. Profit over people. Capitalism, right? NAFTA and GAFTA and CAFTA and all, go to the cheapest place in the world, go to Indonesia and China, and, you know, bring Chinese to Jamaica and move people all over where you can avoid taxes, and, you know, just such crazy wicked devilishness that isn't just about, yeah, capitalism and profiteering, you know. It's obviously the world we have today, where it's like, these people aren't good people. They're not just good capitalists. They're wicked. These people could change the world tomorrow. They could change all poverty. We know that they don't change giving resources and abundance to the world, because they're far more worried about what a world would do that didn't have to work for those resources, that had abundance. Like the whole world would just become Homer Simpson, you know, get so lazy and start drinking beer. Idiocracy, right? While they poison the people with fluoride and spray them with the geoengineering and the heavy metals, and wonder why people are sick and dumbed down and fatigued. Because they're hypocrites, because they're wicked. They're not trying to help build a prosperous, healthy, balanced, loving, joyful culture, society, they're scared of that. They're scared of losing control. And so they try to control the mentalism. They try to control what's on the TVs, what's going out to the people, what's on the radios, what you're looking at, where your focus is the majority of your day. Because if focus creates your reality and they basically control where your focus is, 9/10 of your day, and then when you get home and you're tired and exhausted and you want to turn on the idiot box because you just want to unwind, and that's the best way you can let out the stress of being on the hamster wheel, and then they got your focus again with the Hertzian rate and the flicker rate and the beta waves and the alpha waves, and they try to bring you down so they can program you. It's too much for some of you, I know. It's okay, people. It's okay. Take a deep breath. We're gonna be all right. So that's my conflict with it. Are those at top really up there because they got the control over positive mentalism? And are those that are down really down because they don't know how to think, right? It's not that they're bad people, they're just bad thinkers. So I kind of believe both. In the same way that I believe we partially choose our destination, and there's other factors that choose our destination. That we really don't have full control, but we do have some control. It's what Alan Watts says. If you're playing a game of flicking a coin, it's a 50-50. It's all chance. You don't have any input on the outcome, and you get bored of it pretty quick. And if you're playing 3D chess, there's so much reliant on your ability to navigate by self and by strategy and intellect that it becomes too mental. And so life is that perfect balance of, hey, I got a lot of influence. There's a lot I can do with my positive mental attitude. I'm sure going to do a lot better if I got one than if I'm optimistic and high vibration, energetic, and like you can do it, courageous, confident, that you're going to get more done. You're going to make more shots because you're more confident, more laid back, and more successful. And so there's truth to saying if you're going to play that game, play it with a PMA, and you're going to do better. It's not a guarantee, but it sure does increase your odds. So, mentalism versus wishful thinking, I could go on forever. It impacts so much of our lives, and the bottom line is we're trying to be good. We're trying to build. We're trying to be right by ourselves and by our family, by our community. And the way to do that is by controlling our thoughts. Instead of being a front, instead of having conflict or passive aggressiveness with your neighbors or your partners or your siblings or your parents or your co-workers or whoever it might be, that we have confidence to have a positive mental attitude, believe that we can achieve our end goal, which is, of course, we want peace with our everybody, right? We want to have fun. We always want to be feeling good. And if we can have control and influence over feeling good and doing good and living good, then we should all do that. And there's ways we can make sense of why we should do that, how we can do that, how we can improve ourselves. There's always going to be room for improvement. So focus on self, but focus on others. Give of yourself and be good. And we can have a positive world, whether it's science or it's just logic, that we do the right thing. Wishful thinking or mentalism, who cares? Let's be good. Let's feel good. Let's walk outside whether it's sunny or raining and give thanks that we're breathing and we're alive. Let's realize it's all a Ponzi scheme, this system. We got everything we need to live and prosper, provided by creation. Whether you believe in a creator or not, we got everything we need on this planet. And it's just a system of resourcing what we need to thrive that we got to come up with together. That ain't socialism. That ain't about socialism. I think the state is silly. I think government's silly. And power corrupts, and these people know nothing about compassion, smart decisions. They just know how to tax scare people, wage war, and lead by example about acting like children. So we gotta take the power back, bring the love back. It's a love revolution. Be good. That's all. Love each other. It's simple. Simple solutions. My name is McAD. Hey, rhymesforthetimes.com is the website. Get some music for the revolution. Be good to yourself and be good to the world. Peace. One love.
It's all coming together right here now. It's all coming together right here now. It's all coming together right here. Who's that? It's love. Can you feel it coming through that? Conscious revolutionary music. Yeah, you